As the congressman just mentioned, of course, this attack does raise new concerns about ISIS-inspired lone wolves and self-radicalization here in the United States. To discuss that, CBS senior national security analyst Juan Zarate, good enough to join us from the nation's capital. And Juan, we just heard Congressman Hurd discussing the fundamental problem here for investigators, that of a lone wolf who had not previously broken the law and perhaps had not made themselves and their intentions known to a degree that the attack that we saw here just over 24 hours ago could have been thwarted. Just how concerning, in light of what we've seen here, is the lone wolf phenomenon for investigators?
This is a major concern for counterterrorism officials and has been the stated concern for a number of years now, for a couple of reasons. One, you have Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State having to actually inspire and strategize around getting individuals, perhaps like Omar Mateen, to not only deploy but to attack fellow citizens. Their strategy has been not only to send fighters into Syria and Iraq or to attract them, but also to inspire individuals to attack in the West, to deploy if they can, as we've seen in Paris and Brussels, or to inspire individuals, as seems to have been the case in San Bernardino and now in Orlando. And so this is a major concern. And I think another issue that counterterrorism officials worry about is that the speed of radicalization seems to be quickening. There seems to be a quicker pace from the point at which an individual is radicalized to the point at which they decide to attack fellow citizens.
Juan, we now know that the FBI had twice investigated Omar Mateen prior to what happened. Congressman Hurd was just saying that there will be an internal review to see if something was missed. But when somebody is investigated not once but twice and is still able to purchase the guns, for instance, used in the massacre, what to make of those questions from the FBI's perspective?
Well, certainly there's going to be a lot of scrutiny as to whether or not the FBI dug deeply enough in those two investigations to understand this individual, his state of mind, his connections, his communications. The most troubling part of that is the second inquiry, the one in 2014, where the FBI reopened an inquiry about him, in part because Mateen seemed to have some sort of contact with the first American suicide bomber in Syria, also from Florida. That obviously is a troubling data point, but certainly the FBI looked closely at that and decided there wasn't enough to proceed with a further investigation and certainly to keep something open. We have to keep in mind that the FBI is constrained by not only the law but its own guidelines. It can't simply, on a hunch, continue to follow individuals. It certainly doesn't have resources to do that. And there are legal restrictions as to what they can do if there isn't evidence of some criminality or suspicious behavior that indicates the nature of an imminent threat or terrorism. So the FBI is often caught between a rock and a hard place. They're often criticized for overreach, for sting operations. On the other hand, when they close out investigations and do something like this, where an individual later becomes violent, they're often criticized in hindsight. And so no doubt there's going to be a lot of inquiry, but we have to keep in mind that the FBI has a difficult job and has to obey the law and their own guidelines.
The inherent and essential conflict, really, when it comes certainly to lone wolves. Juan Zarate, we appreciate your time today.
My pleasure. Thank you.